Hey guys, my name is Alba. I'm a fitness therapist and owner of Trainer in Pink. We specialize in-home personal training and injury rehab for women. Now, today we're going to talk about 5 exercises you should never do. I'm going to demonstrate the exercise, explain why we don't want to do them, and I'm going to give you guys an alternative. Now, I've carefully selected these exercises and they've made it on the absolute no-no list. So if you ever have an instructor or a trainer ask you to participate in these exercises, just politely ask for an alternative. In this case, there are multiple options to work the same muscle groups without having to put yourself at potential risk or injury. So let's get started. This is 5 exercises you should never do. So the first exercise on our list that we never want to do is a pretty common one. It's a bench tricep dip. Now the bench is primarily what makes this dangerous, but it's actually really common. You may see it on Pinterest or a local boot camp, usually found with outdoor workouts. So it looks something like this. Now, the reason that this exercise is dangerous is primarily in the range of motion of the shoulder. So, average range of motion is about here, but as you noticed before, in order to complete the exercise, I had to make it to a position about here. Now, we have a lot of attachments that take place here in the front of the shoulder, and these muscles are usually actually really tight because we live life in front of us. So all of those muscles, tendons, and even a few ligaments, you're putting them all at potential risk. And we have our chest, our delt, our lats, got a rotator cuff muscle in there, and it's just not necessary. Now, another reason is this position also exposes the main bursa sac in the shoulder, and that's another location of a common injury, so let's avoid that as well. Now, when it comes to working your triceps, and triceps is just the back of the arm. It's usually a favorite for ladies to exercise and to get that nice little shape. So really what you want to pay attention to is extension of the arm, and there's plenty of options. So if you take the extension of the arm and just change positions, you have a few exercises right there. So a common one is kickbacks. Again, extension of the elbow. Another one you guys may know, when we want to pay attention if you got the flexion to do this first, but this here is another one as well. And you can always, for safekeeping, take the position here, and then based on where your resistance load is, the movement is like so. Usually it's done supine with a free weight. The next exercise on our list is called ass to the grass squats, and they look something like this. I am going to call out all you CrossFitters because you guys are the ones that like to do it. They will claim that there have been studies that show that there's a lot of benefit to doing squats in this manner. So I did my own research, and this is what I found. Basically, the positioning of your legs being up here so high in that squat is that it massages the ascending and descending colon, making it optimal to create a bowel movement. And then, of course, the lining up of the rectum, which we know is great for helping to pass a bowel movement. Now, this is just me, but if you're trying to exercise and take a poop at the same time, I don't want to be there. So definitely not necessary. They've also done plenty of muscle studies showing that squats done below a 90-degree angle actually do not show any additional benefit. There's no additional muscle activation by going below the 90 degrees. Now, the alternative for this is just doing a simple squat. When you go into a squat, you can look in a mirror and pay attention to what people call the butt wink. And that's basically where you come down, just kind of watch my butt. So you come down, and at a certain point, you will see that my butt has a small drop. That is where it shows my limitation in range of motion. It's telling me that my pelvis has locked out, and now I'm relying on my lower back in order to create that movement. Now, past that butt wink, you're actually putting a lot of stress on your spine. Remember, L4, L5 have a slightly different shape in the vertebrae than the rest of your vertebrae. And so you're actually putting compression on those, which is usually where people have the most bulging and herniated discs. So again, the alternative is just doing a regular squat, 90 degrees, and you can be sure to check out my other video for how to do a proper squat. The next exercise on our list that we don't want to do is another common one, and it's called a wall sit. So it looks like this. Okay. This is another one that is commonly found in outdoor workouts such as boot camps, And the reason that we don't want to do it just comes back to mechanics. We know that when we do lunges or squats, we don't want our knee to pass the toes. And the reason for that is because it creates a shearing force in the knee. And a shearing force is basically if this was my femur and this is my tibia, the joints coming together creating the knee. Okay, shearing force is when the motion comes like this, okay, which the knee is not designed to do that. Now, when we put ourselves in a wall sit, that's exactly what we're doing. So if we're here, I am putting force this way into the wall, into a steady surface. And so the wall is giving me force back this way. However, my tibia is staying in one place. So again, I'm creating that shear force on the knee. And that's where we don't want to do it. Just avoid the wall sit altogether. You can go into a squat, hold the squat at the bottom. You can add pulses into the squat. You can also include a stability ball behind the back and do motions into your squat that way, which allows for your body to fall back and give yourself the angle, natural angle that you want in mechanics for a squat. The next exercise that we want to avoid actually has the potential of encompassing several exercises, and it's doing anything that is overhead while in a squatted position. Now, we're looking at range of motion of the shoulder again, so this time in flexion. Now, typically when I see clients for the first time, it's about here, and that's about 70% of my clients. It doesn't mean that they won't be able to get there. It just means that they gotta work towards it. But let's say in this instance that the person is able to raise their hand high in the sky and there's no limitations in range of motion. If I'm here and I come down into a squatted position, you can see that my hand is lining up with my hips. So if I come back and try to force it to be vertical to the ceiling, I'm ripping up my shoulder, and we don't want to do that. So the easiest way to avoid this is to either incorporate the exercise separately, so you do the squat separate or do your overhead exercises separate, or you can of course include the overhead exercise if you're trying to put it together, your overhead exercise at the end of your squat. So you come down into your squat and then come up in the lift, down into your squat and then up with the lift. And that's an easy way to avoid injury and still get the results that you want. The last exercise on our list actually made the cut because it's so darn common to be done incorrectly. And I know that you ladies are wanting to work your lower abs, so let's just make sure that we get it right. First, the incorrect way is coming down into a leg lift. Now, I'm only going to do this exercise with one leg, and that's for my own protection. So just pretend that there's two here. But if I come down to do my leg lift, and I create this giant gap between my lower back and the floor, this is what's bad. I'm putting pressure on my sacrum as well as my lumbar spine, and then I'm not even engaging my core or my abs at all. So really, what's the point? So to do this correctly, and to slowly advance yourself, first, set yourself, make a little triangle, and set that down underneath your sacrum. This creates a little prop, and it makes it easier for you to set your back in the proper position, and then you come down, and then you come up. So that's the first one. The next one is that you, let's say you're progressing, you want no hands, and you just come down as far as you can, making sure to maintain your back in the proper position. You can also take it down as far as you can and do little movements in that position to try and help and engage a little bit more. I also don't recommend using one of those lumbar support pillows unless you absolutely have to, because again, remember, we don't want to engage our muscles where we don't want them. So, I thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Alba, and I'm the trainer in pink.